Hello and welcome to the Birth and Baby Talk show. And I'm Leanne Palmerston. I'm from Hamilton Family Doulas. I'm one of the owners, and my lovely co-host is
Meghan Bowser-Taylor. I'm one of the co-owners in Ottawa.
Awesome. Welcome, Meghan. You are talking today about a topic that I know almost all of us, when we're expecting, sort of thinks about. Some of us follow through, but I would probably say in this day and age, most of us don't, because cloth diapering sounds like it could be a lot of work. And it might not fit in with some people's lifestyles. You know, if you're a working family and you have your little ones in daycare, it might not be optimal for you, but you're able to stay home, perhaps it will work for you. So why don't why do people often choose cloth diapering?
Sure, yeah. So it is one of the things more recently, like I want to say in the last 10 to 20 years has kind of come back into the mainstream. So obviously back in the day, everyone cloth diapered, even up through the 70s and probably into the early 80s. I was a cloth diapered baby. And then it really kind of went on the back burner and people just went to disposables. And we'll go through all the pros and cons of what that looks like. But for a lot of people, It is a question in the very beginning. And for a lot of our clients, you're absolutely right. People are like, yeah, I kind of want to do that, but I don't know. I don't find very many people who are 100% on board right from the beginning. And on a personal note, when I was pregnant with my daughter 10 years ago, I didn't even think there was an option. And I think that's because my mom was a little bit of a hippie. And so we were all cloth diapered. And I just thought that was kind of what people did. And it wasn't even a thought process for me. I just was yep, I'm going to cloth diaper my babies. But I did go through some phases and we'll go over that as well. So the main thing, why people cloth diaper. So there's three main reasons people cloth diaper their babies. The first one would be, environmental. And we're going to go through all of the environmental reasons that people cloth diaper. The second one is financial. And I'll go over, I pulled some figures from a Canadian company here. So it's going to be different depending on where you are, but just in terms of how much money you can spend or save cloth diapering. And the third one's a little controversial. It's about potty training. So there are some studies that have come out that said that babies who are cloth diapered or toddlers who are cloth diapered potty train faster than babies in disposable diapers, mainly because the disposable diapers are so good now
that they a lot.
Yeah, they just wick away all the moisture. And so though the diaper gets really heavy, no one's uncomfortable, right? Where anybody who's ever cloth diapered a baby knows when that baby pees, it's wet. It's like you're sitting in a wet diaper. So there is a school of thought that babies kind of they get more in tune with how they feel and the feel of wetness and being uncomfortable, and they ask to go to the potty a little bit more. Now I'm sure everybody has an opinion on that. For me, I would say yes for my daughter, no for my son. So, it depends on many, many things. Yeah.
And honestly, that sort of divide, babies with male parts tend to be a little lower on toilet learning. Babies with female parts tend to be a little quicker.
Yeah.
I think regardless of what you're putting on a baby's butt, I think that bears out most of the time.
And I totally agree with that too. And though we don't like to say that specify this gender did this quicker than this gender, there's something there. Babies with you're right, girl parts tend to just potty train a little bit quicker than the boys. So I don't know.
I have only boys, so I'm unable to do a personal comparative study.
Yeah. Those are your three main reasons. Those are the main reasons people do it. So if we talk about environmental reasons, it's pretty obvious. You're not putting a bunch of diapers in a landfill. You're reusing all of those diapers. And it's really crazy. I looked up some stats. I don't know if anyone's really into the stats, but there's a cloth diapering company called Apple Cheeks out of Quebec. And they did it was just a little bit of some stats on their website. And we'll talk about their diapers too. It's really good. And something like 4 million diapers per day are used in Canada, like disposable diapers that are thrown into landfills, which is pretty wild. They take about 500 years to decompose. So I know, that's what I thought too. And I think I'm gonna look a little bit deeper because that number was so shocking that I was like, is that right? So we should all take a look at that number and see if it's right. So if we talk about environmental reasons, a lot of the questions we get is, yeah, I get it, it's environmental and you're not filling up a landfill, but what about all the water you're using, right? You have to wash all those diapers, your laundry just increased by like tenfold, all that kind of stuff. So apparently, like, if you're, let's say you have about 25 cloth diapers, you do a load a day or every second day, it really works out to about $70 extra a year for water. That's like a Canadian statistic. It probably depends on where you live and you know, whether you live in a condo or like a house or whatever. So it's approximately that much. So it's not that crazy of an amount of money to be spending. The other thing I wanted to say, and I'll go into the different kinds of cloth diapering, is there's something called pre-folds, and I really wish I had some with me, but they're literally like a piece of cloth. Yeah, they're like old school. Yeah, they're flat. They almost look like a large face cloth almost. So that's like more of what our mothers, our grandmothers would have used with safety pins. There's all these folds that you do.
When I had a baby in the hospital, that's what they had. So that's what you used when you were in the hospital with your baby. When I had my oldest.
And how old is he?
Hamilton.
How old is he?
He's 17 now.
Oh, wow. So, and did they use a safety pin?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, crazy.
Yeah, so, I kind of loved it. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I didn't find it necessarily all that burdensome, but then I wasn't doing the laundry in the hospital, of course.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You weren't wielding the safety pin. Yeah.
I did want to address, though, that I had recently read that the amount of water that is increased on the consumer side, because you have to wash the diapers frequently, that the amount of water that you invest on that side is actually minuscule compared to the amount of water that goes into the entire process of getting the materials and making the diaper itself. Like, so prepping the materials, the various sort of cottons and things that go into making up a diaper.
Right.
That like fluff that becomes paper and all those things that gets bleached and then in the processing, that far outweighs the amount of water that we're personally using on our consumer side, which would then make the cloth diapers still on the level of like the water issue, still a more environmentally friendly choice than using the disposables. So
yeah, and that's a really interesting fact to share as well, because some people get really hung up on the actual just on the ground water usage, but you're right, there's so much water used to actually make these diapers, right? So yeah, if you want to get really into the depths of the environmental issues, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's a pro. Right. That, I mean, it is more environmental to use cloth diapers, right? Just like it's more environmental to use a reusable coffee cup. It's really similar, though, obviously a little bit more challenging. And the thing I wanted to mention about the pre-folds is the pre-folds, because they're just these squares of fabric. And by the way, we don't use safety pins anymore. We use little snappy things that I'll talk about in a minute. I use those pre-folds until they fell apart, mostly because I was using them to clean up like my kids' pee off the floor when they were potty training. And then I use them for rags to like clean the bathroom. So like we're talking about like years of using these bamboo pre-folds. So anyone who wants to cloth diaper from an environmental point of view, like full on, it is, if that's where your stance is, it's a pretty solid one. It is environmentally friendly for sure. So the financial stuff is always a big concern, because to start cloth diapering is a really big initial investment. Okay, you're not going to the drugstore and buying a pack of diapers. You are literally spending, at the bare minimum, I mean, I worked it out with the pre-fold, at the bare minimum, you're looking at least $350 to $400 to start. That's to get all the things you need for for diapering. Now, one of the stats I checked out was someone did like a tally of the amount of money you spend on disposables for a baby. And this isn't pull-ups. This is like just diapers. It's about $2,000 per kid, right? Over the course of whatever, 2.5, 3.5 years, like whatever you need it for. So it's about $2,000, but it's over a course of time, right? So the thing about diapers is you can go so many different ways. So we talked about, and I'm going to do a little shout out right now that I can also, maybe we can put in the comments or something. There's a really great shop in Ottawa called the Extraordinary Baby Shop. And I'm sure that Hamilton has a cloth diapering shop in Toronto too. And they are phenomenal. They are great people, little tiny business. If you want to go in and learn about cloth diapers or buy them from a little shop, then they are really great. So you're looking at like, so for pre-folds, a package of 6 is about $30. So those are like the, just the fabric. So those are probably the hardest to learn how to do, because you have to learn how to do the folds. And then we take these little snappies, which are like, they replace safety pins. So they kind of have these, they're like a little rubber T-shape, and they have little like claws in them, and you snap them in. And then you have to cover that diaper with a diaper cover to make it waterproof. So all of that to say, that is probably the most economical way, albeit the most kind of pieces you have to use together. So those are called pre-folds. There's many different companies you can get them from. Mm-hmm. There's also a pocket diaper. There's a fitted diaper, which is basically looks like a regular diaper, but it's just cloth. So you can get them in bamboo or cotton or whatever. They as well need a cover on top of them. So they're going to run you a little bit more money for the ease of it. So probably about $20 for a diaper and $20 for a cover. A pocket diaper, Apple Cheeks is the company that's probably most well known for their pocket diapers. It looks like a regular diaper. The waterproof portion is attached. And then there's a little pocket. So you take almost like a pre-folded piece of fabric, like it can be, I think it's usually bamboo, and you can stick it in the pocket for extra absorption. What I used to do with my kids, I would take a pocket diaper and I would fold the pre-fold and lay it on top so that I could reuse the diaper a little bit more. Because what happens with a pocket diaper is every time the baby pees, you have to use a new diaper because the surface is now wet, right? The pocket diapers too, they'll run you about $18 to $20, depending on what it is. The all-in-ones are the most expensive, but the easiest to use. And they're exactly what they sound like. They're an all-in-one. So it's the diaper, the liner, the cover, everything's attached. It's literally like putting a disposable diaper on a baby, and they're going to be about $25. So you can spend like $600-700, right? If you want to get like, let's say all of the all-in-ones, but you don't have to spend that much. Yeah. So there's a real range with cloth diapering, and my suggestion is to try a little bit of everything first. So like I wouldn't go out and spend $700 on a whole bunch of all-in-ones, because maybe you don't need that. Maybe that's not your thing. So get a package of pre-folds, buy a fitted diaper, get a pocket diaper, and kind of just like find whichever one works best for you. And that's why it's good to go talk to like a local shop as well if you can, because if you go online, it's like a million different opinions. It's like anything with parenting. Everybody has an opinion, and what really worked for me, I loved pre-folds. They were fine. But some people might be like, that's crazy. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I want like an all-in-one. Yeah.
What I find is too, the shops that are really into like supplying the cloth diapers, like ours here in Hamilton is called Barefoot Babies. They're fantastic. They have all kinds of sort of natural skewing products for babies and toddlers and small children. It's where we send everyone for cloth diaper information, baby wearing stuff, feeding implements, and great like wooden toys and things.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what I do, like once or twice a year, they do a used cloth diaper sale. And so, and use, I mean, a lot of people might think, ooh, like use cloth diapers, but people who are into cloth diapers are very, very fussy about maintaining their cloth diapers. Like, because if you don't, they can get really disgusting smelling. So
absolutely
care for them really, really well so that they do have fantastic resale value in the end. And you mentioned Apple Cheeks, which I love, but Apple Cheeks are kind of famous for having a huge cult following.
Oh, and all of their fans,
they have an aftermarket resale thing.
Huge.
Yeah, like I remember we had a neighbor who was cloth diapering and she had Apple Cheeks and she was like, oh, I'm just washing all the diapers because I'm going to resell them.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, this color is an exclusive and I can probably get $125 for this color, like for one diaper. And I thought, oh, that's like bonkers. But I mean, aside from that, it's definitely possible for you to like hit up one of those sales while you're pregnant, grab some supplies, be able to check out like one or two of a couple different types, and probably end up getting something like some fantastic all-in-ones or some fantastic pocket styles that like for half the price almost.
Yeah. And some of those stores too, and I don't know, I'm not sure about the Extraordinary. I'm not sure about the Extraordinary Baby Shop right now, but they used to do, some stores will do diaper rentals as well, which again, I mean, people are a little freaked out about, but I mean, it's true. Like with cloth diapering people, it's kind of like baby wearing, where it's really like, they're like collectors. And you made a good point with Apple Cheeks, is Apple Cheeks also comes out with like special themed, like we had one that was an exclusive Christmas one that was like green with red buttons and like it never came back, or there was like a Halloween one. So you're absolutely right. And that's a good point to make for the financial argument, is that the resale value is there and you can absolutely sell your diapers. And that's a really good segue into cleaning. So everything else aside, whether you want to save money, save the planet, all that kind of stuff, everyone's like, but how gross is it, right? And I'm like, yeah, like it's not, I mean, it's not like rolling up a disposable diaper and throwing it in a diaper genie. It's not that. But I gotta say, it's not as gross as people think it is. So a few things to remember.
There's ways to mitigate that grossness too, like to make it a little easier on yourself, right?
Absolutely, for sure. So starting off with newborn babies. Now, what we usually suggest to our clients who are going to cloth diaper is the baby's meconium, like the first poos. We tend to suggest just to use a disposable diaper in the hospital or the birthing center, because nobody wants to deal with that on a cloth diaper. It will ruin it, right? And it's like one or two poos. It's not a big deal. But newborn poo, whether they're formula fed or breastfed or combination fed, up until 6 months or whenever they start solids, it's really liquidy. And I don't know, it doesn't smell bad. Like it's not like it's not like people poo yet, right? So there's a few things you can do. I myself, if the poo was really, really small, I wouldn't even rinse it out. I would just throw it in. Oh, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I threw it in a wet bag. So we'll talk about where to put the soiled diapers as well. If there was a lot of it, I actually would just take it and I would dunk it in the clean water of the toilet, right? Now, what you can do though, because my husband especially was like super freaked out about that, is you can get these, they're like shower nozzles. Yeah. So they hook to like the back of your toilet tank, wherever, and then it's like a shower. And so you're holding up the diaper and you're just like showering it into the toilet, and that's it. Yeah.
And that, I just installed a bidet in one of my bathrooms. And one of the styles of bidet is the handheld showery.
Oh, thing. Okay. Yeah.
So if you're a family who is cloth diapering, you could use your diaper sprayer as a spray bidet.
And
well, you're not going to go up there. You're going to go down below, but
you're going to go down below. Yeah. I mean, even for like
paper.
Yes. Yeah, you totally could do that. So a lot of people opt out. And as far as like, I remember, it's not that expensive. Like, I want to say it might be $50. Like, it's not a crazy investment. And then you just spray it. Some people like to wear gloves. I mean, obviously, if you're dealing with someone else's kid, you probably would wear gloves. With my own, I didn't bother. And then with anything that's not poo, if it's just pee, it's literally just like a wet piece of fabric, or if it's an all-in-one, it's just wet on the inside, and you toss it in wherever you're keeping your soiled diapers. So it's honestly not that gross. Now, when baby starts eating solids, it's actually somewhat easier because the poo is more solid. So this is like real talk now. It gets kind of gross, but like you literally can like just scrape off the poo into the toilet. I know. And like it's so good. Like, but that's what it sounds like. Because what happens is like it's not.
I've been hearing about. I don't know if to use them in this instance or not.
I don't even remember. But I mean, you could use like something disposable, like a popsicle sticker, like just like a little scraper that you would throw out. Because what happens is the baby poos and then they like sit in it, so it's not like it's just like it's like squished, right? So you gotta like get it out, and then you flush it and it's gone, right?
Yes.
So I gotta say, and I'm sure people have a million questions. It's not that gross, especially because you are now a parent, and in these last 6 months you have dealt with many bodily fluids out of many orifices, and I don't know, you kind of just get used to it. Like when you're pregnant, you think, oh God, that's still gross. But like you have a baby, everything changes. Your ability to kind of deal with that stuff is a little bit different, right? So
I can say people just start getting obsessed with poo, the way it smells, the texture,
look, yeah.
You can learn a lot about a little human by examining what's coming out of them.
Yeah, and it's often the question we always ask, especially in those first days. They're like, is my baby eating enough? And we're like, is your baby pooing? Right? Like, what is coming out of your baby? And like, everyone's really excited when the baby is actually like having bowel movements. So for where you want to put your diapers, it's a little bit different for everyone. In the olden days, it was like the olden days. Sorry, Mom. It was like it's like a pail with like some like water and some cleaner in it or in the bottom or whatever. And they would just soak the diapers in this diaper pail, right? That's a little gross. It's also not super safe if you have other little ones running around the house to have like a thing of water in the nursery. If you have pets, it's probably not a good idea. My favorite thing, you can just use a pail as well if you want to, that seals. My favorite thing was a wet bag.
Those ones you can get at Home Depot, right? They have the lid, like the big tall bucket.
Yeah. And that's right. You don't have to buy like a baby item to do that. Like, my favorite
fucking poo and pee stain stuff.
I don't even do that after. My favorite thing was a wet bag, and a wet bag is like it's just literally a bag. The inside is waterproof. The outside is fabric. The big ones you can get, they're about $50, and then you can get them in smaller sizes. Now, the great thing about a wet bag is you would stick it all in there. I would then dump it in my washing machine, turn the bag inside out, and put the bag in too. And the whole thing would get washed all at once. The other great thing about a wet bag is my kids are now 8 and 10, and that's where I put our dirty clothes from the cottage. It's where we put the wet swimsuits when we leave the beach. Like that wet bag will take you into whatever, like camping. Like it's just a great product. And then you're not like cleaning out a pail. You're not washing it. Everything just goes in the laundry. Now, if you have a clothesline in the summer, I highly recommend that you put your cloth diapers out into the sun. It's the best thing to take away the stains, especially if you want them for resale value. I mean, obviously you can put them in the dryer, but definitely try to put them in the sun as much as you can. It'll be really good for your diapers. The other thing I wanted to mention about cleaning was that every once in a while so first of all, the detergent, I mean, whatever. Like, I mean, probably unscented is a good way to go. You can get fancy cloth diaper detergents. Like there's one called Nellie's that is actually really nice, but it depends on how much you want to spend. I just use Nellie's on all my clothes for like 3 years because that's what we bought for diapers. So everything was washed in Nellie's. But you don't have to spend a bunch of money, just whatever you want to use. And then every so often I would strip my cloth diapers. And so there's 2 ways you can do it. And what stripping does is it takes off all the residue. So like the buildup of detergents and you know, bodily fluids and all that kind of stuff. It kind of just gives them like a really deep clean because they're right next to your baby's bum. So you want that to be nice and safe. You can buy actual products to do the stripping, which is like when you put it in the washing machine with the diapers. I would just put everything in the washing machine, no detergent, and run it on super hot water, just one way through, just to kind of get off all the buildup. Not a huge deal. We would often suggest that if their babies had some diaper rash, they might want to try to strip the diapers. So honestly, all in all, for me personally, it just became a way of life, and it was easy. I think I saved a ton of money, and yeah, I mean, especially with my daughter who would wear little dresses in the summer, like those apple cheeks diapers were really, really cute.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and I can't think of. I mean, those are like the main things. I mean, like I said, I could talk about it forever and ever. Yeah, and I also wanted to say, like, it's okay to like do hybrid as well, right? Like we always cloth diapered, but I definitely didn't if I went to the cottage where there was no laundry facilities. I didn't on a road trip. I didn't when we stayed overnight in a hotel. Like I always took disposable diapers with me. And then also people might want to pivot when they get into the pull-up situation as well.
Yeah.
So it's okay. You don't have to go all in.
Yeah. I found like we did cloth diapers just because I had to pay for our laundry facilities where we used to live. So when you have to pay $2 for every wash, you kind of want to limit how much you have to be washing, if that's possible. Although I have also, so I don't know about you, but I have heard other parents say, including my neighbor, who I was talking about, who had those apple cheeks diapers. That neighbor used to just put everything in the same wash. Like,
okay.
Say like it doesn't matter if there's pee and poo sort of rinsing off the diapers, because like if you spilled mustard all over your jeans or something, that's also coming up into the water. And then sort of the whole idea of the washing machine is to like pull everything out of the fabric and then flush it away. So she said like she wasn't worried about that. Although some people, and understandably, might feel like they definitely don't want to mix those kinds of things. But it's if people do have to be mindful of how much they're doing laundry, or they just want to minimize it overall, so they're not doing like a whole lot of mid-sized loads when they could save one larger load.
Exactly.
Then you can do that. But also, you know, this might not be the right choice for someone who lives in a situation where you're using a shared machine.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that even might be like, I'm not even sure how other people, it's been a little while since I've lived in a building where I had to share a washing machine. Like, I don't even know how other people feel about you putting your dirty diapers in a shared washing machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know laundromats and generally larger buildings that have shared laundering facilities often will say that diapers are not allowed. But if you live, live in a duplex, right? Like a lot of places have a lot of like duplexes and triplexes going on in the city. And so you might actually just be sharing your laundry facilities
Right.
with one or two other people you know pretty well.
Yeah.
And it might be okay with them. But if you're doing that, make sure you talk to them, because some people also might be very weird about potential for residue to be on the machine itself. Now, I'm sure that that's not an actual issue as if you're washing properly. If there's enough water going into the fabrics, but definitely it's you want to be considerate of the other people who are using the same facilities as you and be mindful about what the rules are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah.
If people have questions and they weren't able to be with us live, do you think you'd be able to answer them?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
folks,
if you're watching this after we've gone live, then please, in the comments beside or below, leave your questions and we will make sure we'll come back and answer them. And Meghan, our cloth diaper expert, will come back and give you her expertise. And if you have a fantastic tip that you think we did not cover, or a tip that you particularly love, please share it with us. We want to hear it. We did have, wait a minute, let me find it. We did have someone who did have a good tip for us. Let me see. What's our tip? They said get extra covers. So always have extra covers.
Great tip. Yeah. And it's funny. Oh my God, I forgot about liners. Okay. I'm so glad
that. Right?
Yeah, so she mentioned that.
Like it's almost like toilet paper, but long.
Yes.
And you just put it in, and that's one easy way to get rid of the poopy stuff.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. I totally forgot about that. But that is the one that is like the perfect way for people to not touch the poo, is you just lift it up and flush it.
Yeah.
Get disposable liners. I feel like Motherese does really good ones. There was a company called Bummies. I don't know if they're still in business. They did really good flushable liners. And if you find them, buy a bunch of them, because they're a hot commodity. So, thanks so much for that tip. That was great.
No problem. Yeah. And we got the tip that explore, like you said in the beginning, explore a couple of different types of diapers to find the ones that you really like working with. All-in-ones might not be the thing that you feel is the easiest for your lifestyle, or it might be the perfect solution for you. So try a couple of different types. But this person who is giving us a tip said that look at different diapers for different uses. So you might have a different type of diaper for overnight use, another type of diaper for when you're out and about in the world, and then another diaper for say daytime or toddler use or
daycare. You mentioned daycare too, because not everyone, but a lot of daycare providers will use cloth diapers. So it might be a different choice for that kind of care as well. So maybe not a pre-fold for the daycare worker, but maybe all in one.
Yeah. If you provide them with all of the tools to make it easy, and all they have to do is really like chuck the dirty diaper into a wet bag that you then swap out every single day. There's no difference for them between the types of diapers. So thank you so much. This is so and I know this week on our newsletter, we are going to have a lot of these tips in a printable for folks. So if you want to grab that printable from us with our tips for cloth diapering success, and you're going to want to grab our newsletter link, I will drop that into the comments so you can always get connected to us. And if you have an idea for a future episode, please hit us up in our DMs and let us know or leave a comment. Thanks so much, Meghan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And everybody come back next week. Join us when Meghan Grant comes back and has an in-person pelvic physio appointment with Machiko.
Amazing.
Meghan is going to have an actual physio appointment. You're not going to be able to see below the belt, but she's going to walk you through what it actually looks like to be at a pelvic physio appointment. And I'm very excited because I've been super nervous about delving into that. And it's going to be really cool to be able to see what the appointment actually looks like.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us here at Birth and Baby Talk. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.